You're not born with the idea that you would be in the experience where somebody would be shot up in a car that you're in. Death is real. And nobody can really say how they would feel if a loved one died or not until that loved one dies. Trauma is happening in such a rippling effect, and nobody's talking about it. Nobody's dealing with it. Everybody's telling, oh, just get a couple of beers, get some drinks. You lose your mother or your father at a young age, and you start popping pills at 18 to drown out the feelings that you're going through. Because everybody else has their mom and dad. It's okay to talk to someone, whether it's therapy, life coaching. Of course, I'm going to advocate life coaching because I am a life coach, certified life coach. This is a heavy topic. People are coming from the service and they done seen things that they never thought they would see. Babies being blown up. They haven't pulled a trigger and killed certain people. And so post-traumatic stress disorder is real. They didn't experience rippling traumas in their life. And they're not a robot. The reason why they designed emotional support dogs is because people ceased being people in other people's lives. You are human. You are wired to connect with other people. When they go through something, you need to take the time out of whatever you're going through and connect with them too. They're experiencing the trauma. They experienced the death of someone, the loss of a loved one. Some people have major accidents and they come out healthy, but it was a traumatic experience that shattered them to the point every time they get behind the wheel, they shaken up. Every time they get behind the wheel, they think that they're going to get into an accident. So they need emotional support, whether it be themselves, where they're strong enough to coach themselves out of the past and be present, or they need a life coach that coach them out of the past and to be present. But traumatic experiences are real and people are going through them. And they need help. They need help. You need help. It might not be they need help. You need help. You was used to being in a long-term relationship, and then all of a sudden it abruptly stopped. Whether that person was removed from the earth, or that person abruptly out of nowhere, out of clear blue sky, just broke everything. So you go through a trauma. Because you was oblivious of what really was going on behind the scenes with them. So trauma is real. Trauma is something that will occur to the best of people, and it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you weak. You might come to a weak point, but you're not a weak person. And that's what I need you to understand. For you to go through a trauma and still come out mentally sane, that's strength in itself. Are your emotions out of whack? Sure. Can it get back in sync? Sure. But for you to go through it and still remain emotionally sane, pat yourself on the back. You're clearly doing something right. And if you're going through a trauma, whether it's the death or loss of something, process it. Chew on. My spiritual godmother used to say, chew on the pain till you can't chew on it anymore. So when you're over it, you can just look back and know that that was a past pain. So embrace the grief that you're going through. You thought things was perfect, and then all of a sudden, you get punched in your mouth. That's traumatic. And there's so many other steps that entail abusive relationship if you are in one. Everybody looks at the person and be like, oh, it's easy to jump out. They could just jump out. But it's a psychologically, just from knowing counseling, it's a attachment to that person that you build that almost in your head mentally you can't do without that person. So as much as pain as you're outside looking in at that person and saying they going through, they feel like it's a part of their world. They normalize it. Is it traumatic? Sure. Can they get out of it? Sure. But having support during a trauma is so key. Support that's going to stick through. And you can come through trauma and be a better person. You can have a deeper understanding, a deeper compassion. I heard on the radio this week, this girl was bullied and traumatized by bullying so much that she became a way more sensitive adult and more in tune with other people's feelings and making sure they're okay. So even through the worst experience, some good can come out of it. And I'm a firm believer of that. Whether we're talking about trauma or anything else that's bad, there's something good that can come out of it. But you have to process it accordingly. I advise when you're going through a trauma to begin journaling, writing down all your thoughts so you can see what you're going through at face value. You don't have to do it every night, but it might be something to help keep your sanity, to coach you out of that experience and into the present. Because trauma is so critical that someone can lose footing in the present and never gain it. We have to have empathy for those that go through a traumatic experience. It doesn't have to be something you ever went through, but you should be able to identify with them, connect with them, and meet them where they're at. And affirm that it's okay, and it will be okay, and things will get better. Is there a timing on when things will get better? No. But they can get better. Is there a timing on their grief? No. but they will grieve to a certain extent and then stop. So I want to encourage those that have went through traumatic experiences is be more transparent with those that are going through traumatic experiences. And those that are going through traumatic experiences presently, reach out to people. Touch, inbox, call, text. Life coaching is healthy. It's a healthy maintenance to just keep you grounded and centered as a person if you don't have other things in place. And even if you have other things in place, life coaching will just affirm those things. All of a sudden, the cops pull you over. Now you're driving. Every time you see a cop car, you're traumatized because you did nothing wrong. So those things can be coached out. Your loved one got locked up for no reason. Or you got locked up for no reason. It was traumatic, earth-shattering. Can you bounce back? Sure. With the proper support, the proper connections, the showering of love. Love covers. Love covers. I can't stress it enough. A hug. Eye contact. Just presently showing that you are there is enough. Sometimes it's not all what you say, but what you do. I know when my grandmother passed away, I didn't want to hear, "I'm sorry. She's in a better place." I didn't want to hear any words that people thought would comfort me. Because it didn't comfort me. Because at the end of the day, I didn't want it to happen. I know she was getting old, but it was still traumatizing because she was a part of my world. And I thought that part of my world would never end. And so when it ended abruptly, I was traumatized. So I didn't want to hear words. I wanted people to touch and be present. And so maybe that's all you need to do is hug, kiss, be present, hold their hand. And if it's you that's going through it, be able to vocalize it to other people. That's all you need. Sometimes it's just a listening ear. A person just needs to pour out. You just need to be able to be that listening ear when they pour out. Or if a person show up for you, you need to emphasize. I really don't want you here so you could tell me what I should be doing or not. I just need to vent. I need to process all this clutter in my head. These cluttered emotions and unravel them and label them properly. Trauma is a serious thing. And so many people are going through it. And they almost label themselves okay 80 to 90% of the time because they're not going through post-traumatic stress disorder. Or they look down at people at post-traumatic stress disorder. But whether you are or not, you still need to process your emotions and deal with the critical aspects so you can remain sane and get coached out of the past into the present. This concludes the episode on trauma. A very, very heavy topic. And I feel like it could be an endless